This is your biggest election clicker. FBI agent suspected in Hillary email leaks found dead in apparent murder-suicide. Read that one.
The motive behind the killing is still being investigated, but police say Brown was a highly respected agent with the FBI and very well likely liked in the community.
Is any of that true?
Not a single thing.
Not a single thing.
So this is a guy who is an admitted fake newser, and all of the talk right now is about fake news causing all these problems with the Pizzagate place where somebody walked in with a gun, and they're trying to blame this on the right, that somehow the right bought into all this fake news and these conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton, and it's leading to problems like people walking in with guns who believe these stories. And here we find out that one of the guys who was responsible for pumping out the fake news was not a conservative at all. He was a liberal, and he voted for Hillary Clinton. He just admitted it. More evidence, and I say this to my teenagers all the time. You have got to have some confidence in the sources you choose for your news, particularly if you're retweeting or posting things to Instagram or whatever your mode of social media might be. Don't just retweet everything you see. Find out whether or not it's true first, because then you're guilty of proliferating the fakeness if it's not a true story. People believe anything they read these days. That is really rather sad. Lis Wiehl from the Fox News Channel joining us right now. Lis, how are you?
Hey, doing great. Yeah, I don't rely on that stuff much at all. I'm sorry.
Well, what about you've got kids, and I don't know how old they are, but I've got a 21-year-old, I've got an 18-year-old, and my older one I haven't had to worry about it as much, but the younger one I'm having to tell him all the time, you've really got to be careful what you first of all what you believe that you read online, because my daughter relies on BuzzFeed and some of these sites that I only know a little bit about, and some of the stories that she talks to me about, I'm like, I don't think that's true.
No, my kids, well, my son is very politically sort of minded and in tune. He's 24. So I don't think he gets much of his information that way. And my daughter's 19, and I think she gets more. And I still think her Facebook is more of her personal Facebook, talking with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've been inculcated that much by this. But you know what? They may just be saying that to me. You know what I'm saying? Because they know I'd be shocked if I thought they were getting their information from Facebook and Twitter. I mean, news information from Facebook and Twitter.
Is it your perception from your position with Fox that the fake news thing is kind of overblown?
No, I don't know. I think everybody should be nervous about it because, and just because I work for Fox, I wouldn't say to you just listen to Fox.
Right.
I hear from people all the time, like, I have a Fox 24/7. That's all. I'm like, well, that's great, and I'm glad. But I think you should be listening to other networks, other channels, and getting other perspectives because we have our commentators, which is great. But you should listen to other commentators.
Sure.
Getting other people's opinions. And you should also, just as a matter of human discourse, understand the difference between a commentator, an opinion person, and a straight news person. Don't get confused because sometimes people will try to confuse you. And you need to get your straight news, just the facts, ma'am, who, what, where, when, why, how, straight old newspaper type reporting. And then when those persons divert into opinions. And make sure that when the twain has left, the train has left the track.
Yeah, and where the lines are blurred, because these days, sometimes on the Huffington Post and some of these other news sites, those lines are blurred.
Yeah, one will report it as a fact when truly it is not.
Right.
And so, what I always say, kind of when I'm trying to think about my own reportage is, because I sort of do both. I kind of give analysis. Like, here are the facts, and then here is my analysis of the fact, and then here's my opinion of it. So kind of in three different layers. And if I'm wrong on the fact, the basics of the fact, the who, where, when, why, right? Which is how I was trained in newspapers to begin with.
Right.
Back since like high school days. Shame on me. Shame, shame, shame on me, because then I've misled you. All right? Okay, so if you're you're getting me with the facts, right? And then I take those facts and I kind of analyze the facts. And then maybe you're kind of leaving with, I don't really get the way that we'll analyze. Okay, fine. Okay, my little difference. And then I go straight from there to your opinion. And then you're like throwing tomatoes at me. Well, that's discourse, right?
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But you're getting the trail, right? But shame and I see people all the time out there who trade their opinion and they kind of, put some ketchup on it and say it's fact. Well, indeed, it's not fact. So you've lost the debate from the very beginning because you're not really being fair with people saying what you couch your opinion in, ketchup or whatever, and said it's fact when truly it's not. And I know we've just gone completely off whatever.
People need to know the source, and I appreciate your input on it because you come at it from a unique perspective, and thank you for that. I did want to talk to you briefly about this cop shooting down in South Carolina involving Walter Scott. This thing ended in a hung jury. I'm sure they're going to try it again. There was a lot of discussion over the makeup, the racial makeup of the jury. How big of a deal was that in this case?
They didn't really use the makeup that they didn't really bring it on a trial. It was, it was a black person that was killed and a white officer. The makeup of the jury was 11 whites, 1 black man. The black man was a foreperson. I don't believe that black man was the one who was, the holdout.
Okay.
So you had, a black foreperson and a white holdout saying, for innocence. And on Friday, that's what they had Friday. On Friday, the judge gave them kind of what they call an Allen charge, which means, hey, everybody, we put a lot of work into this. Take the weekend off and go back. I know you said one can't come to a conclusion, but I'm not going to quite take that from you yet. Take the weekend, rest up, and come back refreshed and try again, which they did on Monday. But then they said, it didn't quite make sense what they said. Well, they said after arguing some more about it, the majority can't come up with a decision. So, the majority, now does that mean, wait a second, so the majority thinks he's innocent? Well, if the majority thinks he's innocent, well, then it's an acquittal. So
right.
I just think they kind of screwed up their language. I don't think they quite understood what they meant. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what the count was in the end, because if the count was 6 for an acquittal, 7 for an acquittal, do the math. That would have been an acquittal. So, that didn't make sense. So maybe one person moved over to, acquitting. But all we know is that there was one at least who was not going to vote for a guilty no matter what. So the judge declared a mistrial.
Yeah, and I know they charged him with murder, and I guess they could have gone to a lesser charge of manslaughter. But Lisa, I'm going to run.
They actually did go to the lesser charge. Well, they had it for them, but they didn't do that. So here's what's going to happen next. The state is going to go forward because it's not double jeopardy because they did not reach a verdict.
Sure.
So the state will go forward. But meanwhile, as early as like a couple of weeks before the end of before Christmas even, they're going to have a prelim on the federal charges, civil rights charges, obstruction of justice charges. Those are going forward federally because they're two. You have two different sovereignties there. Feds are going ahead. State will probably wait until that's over, and then, depending on how that goes, go with the state charge if necessary. And then, meanwhile, the state itself has settled with the family for $6.5 million in civil penalties.
Lisa, I'm out of time. I really appreciate your time today.
You got it.
Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Lis Wiehl from the Fox News Channel. Always a pleasure having her on. Always interesting conversation. Good.